What is up, everyone? My name is Wella Wrestling, and today we are going to be doing my first ever collab. And this collab is going to be about WWE awards. Who did the best this year? We're going to have a bunch of awards, a bunch of categories, and I'm here joined with. Wait, wrong word. Joined with.
I'm Ed from Influential Sports. I post all type of sports content, love wrestling. So we're gonna be like you said, gonna be talking about WWE today.
I'm going to be starting off with the MVP of the year. Who would you say the MVP?
My MVP for 2024 was Drew McIntyre. I say he had his feud with Seth Rollins heading into WrestleMania was really good. The stuff he did with CM Punk, which spanned over 10 months, it was amazing. One of the greatest heels in wrestling, one of the most justified heels in wrestling. Even the stuff he's doing now, targeting everybody in the bloodline, finally pressing solo. So I went with Drew for MVP.
Drew McIntyre has been a very good part of this year, massive part. He's really redeemed his career and got it back on flow. But I'm gonna be going with Cody Rhodes. I think he's been on every single show. He's been wrestling a bunch. Most of the time, his matches are the best on each card. I like him in ring. Sometimes, I mean, obviously, it hasn't all been perfect. His title reign hasn't been perfect, but I think he's been the face of the company and really been carrying WWE in 2024.
And
And,
that's fair. That's fair. I think
and
my only gripe with Cody Rhodes is just the promo. Sometimes they'll hit, then sometimes they'll miss.
mhm. Sometimes it'd be like very scripted, very
Yeah.
scripted. But yeah. And next, we're gonna move on to the male superstar of the year.
For male superstar of the year, I went with Jay Uso. Finally got away from the bloodline, did his solo stuff, going on his own, winning the Intercontinental Championship, even though he only held it for 28 days, or if that. But the small feud he did with Braun Breaker, it was cool. Obviously, the match with Jimmy at WrestleMania was terrible, but aside from that, Jay Uso had a really good year, so I went with him for male superstar of the year.
My male superstar of the year is Drew McIntyre. He's had a phenomenal year so far, and I really loved his feud with CM Punk. It's easily my favorite feud of all time. I love the feud between CM Punk. I love all his matches. He's always put on shit. He's always put on good matches, amazing matches. Even he's such a good heel as well. Although I didn't like that he won the Money in the Bank, I wouldn't say he didn't deserve it. I think he definitely deserves to get a world title after this phenomenal year. So that's why he's my male superstar of the year. So I gotta feel my shit up, man. Yeah. All right. So next up, we're gonna be doing female superstar of the year.
This one was tough because I didn't go with either one of the current world champions because I feel they their reigns have been decent, but they definitely could
Mhm.
have been better. Like Liv, I didn't go with her because the feud with Rhea is too focused on Dominic instead of the actual championship. And then Nia, I just don't like what's going on over there. And she done took a few losses, which are kind of surprising. But I ended up going with Alani Jordan, becoming the first
Mm,
NXT
mm,
North American Women's Champion. She held it for 140 days and beat people like Sol Ruka, Wendy Chu, and she ended up losing it in that gauntlet match against a Fatal Influence, which was a pretty fun gauntlet match. But
mhm.
she held the title for 140 days, so first they had that accomplishment. So I feel like she had a really good year. The promos can definitely improve, but I feel like it's decent for right now.
Kalani Jordan was an amazing superstar. When she first won the title, I was kind of hesitant, but she's kind of proved me wrong, and she is definitely going to be a massive star in WWE. But my women's wrestler of the year is gonna be Rhea Ripley. Okay, she was on her record-breaking 379-day title reign, and then she got injured, but then she came back and has just been a megastar. She's at the peak of her popularity, and yeah, she's been booked like super strongly. But I kind of like that. I kind of like that she's being booked super strongly. I like that she's putting on good matches, and I believe year is Rhea Ripley's year, in my opinion. I think this is the year that she went to superstardom. So that's why I think she's the female wrestler of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's valid. I think if she didn't get injured, my opinion probably changes because I don't think the story could be as focused on Dominic right now. That's really what because I consider Liv and Rhea but it's like the story's supposed to be about the title, but you're so
Yeah,
focused on Dominic. That's just weird to me.
yeah. I feel like the feud has just been dragging on a little too much and has really like just faltered and just kind of been pretty bad so lately. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the most improved wrestler of the year. Who would you say is the most improved?
Most improved. Speaking of Dominic, that's what I ended up going with.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Dominic, he really just over this decade, like he keeps getting better each year and each year. Like it's definitely the nepotism argument with Dominic, how we just
Yeah.
got to the main roster right away. And it's definitely been some doubts, but he each year he keeps improving, and he's become one of the best heels in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Every arena he goes into, he's getting booed out the building, and like I said, he's getting better week by week in the ring. And I think it's only improvement up from here. Like the video you made about Dominic, I
Yeah.
definitely see him being a champion, one of the mid card title, and then maybe getting the world title by 2026. I can definitely see
Mm-hmm.
it.
I see Dominic Mysterio. I see the ceilings high for Dominic Mysterio. I think Dominic Mysterio is amazing, but I chose somebody else who I think has kind of just gone on to another level. Liv Morgan. At the start of 2024, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really care about Liv Morgan. Okay, she's kind of like a bum. Okay, but as she really elevated her years, she's really been good on promos because she tries to be annoying. I think she's gotten good on that. She's a world champion for around 250 days. And overall, she's just been amazing so far. And yeah, maybe she can improve some of her matches, maybe get into other feuds that aren't Rhea related. But if anyone had the biggest blow up, the biggest breakout from 2023, it has to be Liv Morgan. And I think she's really pushed herself into one of the best women's wrestlers this year in WWE, of course.
That does bring up a question. After the Raw on Netflix debut, where do you see Leah Morgan and Rhea going from here? Because they can't keep feuding with each other.
I feel like Rhea's gonna win and she's gonna stay on Raw. And I think Liv Morgan, she's just gonna go to the mid card. I think she's just gonna go down to SmackDown, get some SmackDown talent, but I don't see her winning another world title. Sadly, I love Liv Morgan, but I think she's just gonna go down to SmackDown because one of them has to go to SmackDown. What do you think about it?
Uh, I do want Rhea to win, but well, I honestly want an Io Sky to win because I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
at Saturday night's main event because it would have been more refreshing. Could have had some fun feuds. But if Leah
Mhm.
Morgan does win, I think Rhea would be better for SmackDown since they lack main event talent right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then whoever loses this, they still gonna be worried about the title if you keep them on Raw. So
yeah.
somebody has to move brands.
Yeah, someone has to move brands, and yeah, I think because Rhea Ripley is such a big star, they want to keep her on Netflix. But you never know; they can always do anything they want. And next, we're moving on to tag team of the year. What would you say is the tag team of the year?
This this was one of the tougher ones, not because it was a weak one to pick from.
Yeah.
Like the main, like the New Day, they didn't do a lot all year. The Usos were split up, so it's like it came down to it was either Fraxium or Bianca and Jade, and I went with Bianca and Jade.
Mhm.
There were two-time tag team champions.
Mm.
I feel like they actually brought some type of relevance to the titles. They
Yeah.
really haven't felt important since maybe Sasha and Bailey had it, but they actually felt important. Like I was invested in the matches,
Mhm.
and they were fighting champions. Even if they didn't have the greatest feuds, they were always defending the titles, going from Raw, SmackDown, NXT. So I went with Bianca and Jade.
I'm gonna be going with Fraxium because every single Fraxium match, in my opinion, has been 5 stars. They never have a bad match together. And because how just dead the NXT tag team division is, but Fraxium is just carrying that division on their back. I mean, not nowadays because the last couple of weeks they've been revitalizing it, but for most of the year, ever since the Wolf Dogs dropped the title, Fraxium's just been carrying the brand with amazing matches. So I got to give Fraxium the tag team of the year, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah, that's fair. They were my second because, and
Mhm.
one thing I find weird with Fraction, it's like, well, at least recently, it seems like the fans want them to lose the titles, but they're a really good tag team.
Me personally, I want them to lose the title so they can move on to the main roster and stay a tag team. That's what I want. And give it to NQQC. I forgot how to say the name. NQC.
Yeah.
And next is Rookie of the Year, main roster wise.
Rookie of the year. I
Mm-hmm.
end up going with Braun Breaker, a
Ooh, that's
two-time
cool.
Intercontinental Champion. The stuff he did with Jay Uso was pretty good. The triple threat with Sheamus, with Kaiser, it was great. He's put on some great matches. One thing, even the promo work still isn't there yet, and it's going to improve. I'm not worried about that. But Braun Breaker, you're going to expect when he's on TV, he's going to put on a good match.
Yeah.
And even though it's like the promos, they're not great, but they're still at least decent to where he makes it believable. And he can be a tweener. He don't have to be a baby face or a heel. It's like right in between that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I was gonna say Tiffany Stratton, but she's been kind of booked super weak lately. So I'm gonna go with Braun Breaker because Braun Breaker is a badass. He's putting on amazing matches time and time again. I gotta go with Braun Breaker. I mean, he's a two-time Intercontinental Champion and easily a 10-time WWE Champion in the future. That's kind of big, but I think the ceiling's high for him.
But I wouldn't have had a problem if she went with Tiffany Stratton. She did win Miss Money in the Bank. And her
Hmm.
matches with her and Naomi had really good chemistry in the ring.
Yeah.
Like they always put on some good matches. Now recently, I don't know what they're really doing. I feel like in that tag team match would have been the perfect time for her to cash in.
Mm.
It's like, why are you letting Candice LeRae talk crazy to you? Like, what did she want? A Twitter belt?
Yeah, I don't know when they're gonna do the cash in. I mean, I think they should have done the cash in at Crown Jewel or War Games, but now I don't even know. Maybe Royal Rumble. But yeah, it's just been booking her very terribly. But next, we're gonna be moving on to rivalry of the year. What would you say is the rivalry of the year in your opinion? Feud
Like
of the year.
this was the easiest one to pick from. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. The scrap match, the special guest referee with Seth, the Hell in a Cell, like the scrap match was a great match, and the matches kept getting better. Like
Mhm.
you don't see that all the time, where the first match is good, and the trilogy each match just keeps getting better. Then
Yeah.
the element of Seth being involved for a little bit, and like this feud was, and they didn't even have a title on the line, and they feuded for 10 months with
Mhm.
both of these guys being hurt, just cutting great promos consistently. This is one of the best rivalries in this decade.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. This is 100% the best feud of the entire year. Even when they weren't fighting, CM Punk was absolutely being the biggest menace. One of my favorite spots was at Clash of the Castle when he tried being a referee. One, two, and then kicked him
Yeah,
in the nuts. And I just want to say, you're right. The trilogies just kept getting better and better and better. At first, I thought the strap match wouldn't be that good, but oh my god, that really blew away my expectations. And the the Bad Blood Hell in the Cell
yeah,
redeemed Hell in the Cells. It brought Hell in the Cell back to what it's supposed to be. And yeah, I just love the feud overall. Love it.
yeah.
Amazing.
And then
Perfection.
at WrestleMania, after Drew won, he was celebrating. Then CM Punk tripped him, and that's when Priest came to cash in. There was, and then in the Hell in a Cell match, I'm still mad that wasn't the main event.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't
I
understand why it wasn't the main event.
like the Rock hurt. I mean, I know Jimmy and the Rock came back, but at least Jimmy did something. The Rock coming
Yeah.
back didn't do anything.
And turns out The Rock didn't even come in for any storyline purposes. It was just because he wanted to show up. So that's
Yeah,
just
so you
kind of
could have
stupid.
easily had that start the show and do Jimmy's return because at least he added some value to it.
Yeah.
That's
But
like that
yeah.
should have been the main event, and it was one of the best matches of the year.
Hmm. And since we're talking about matches right now, we're gonna be going to match of the year. What is your match of the year?
CM Punk beating Drew McIntyre and Hell in a Cell, and there's
Hmm.
even some other elements we didn't even talk about, like the bracelet, which I'm not convinced that a fan actually gave that to CM Punk because it shouldn't have been that important. But having the bracelet involved with Drew pulling it out, we thinking it's thumbtacks, then it's just a bunch of bracelet beads. And like
Hmm.
Drew, as much as he like him bleeding as much as he did when he wasn't supposed to, and him telling the ref like, "I'm fine, I can keep going," and like shout out to the ref for checking on him because that's the ref's job, make sure the wrestler's okay. But Drew's like, "I can keep going," so battling through that, and both of those guys had major injuries, all parts of their body after that. So that
Yeah.
was an amazing match.
I'm gonna have to go with the same with you on this one. It was such an amazing, brutal, grueling match. They went above and beyond. I love like the Crimson Mask. Like, I'm not a psychopath, but I love the Crimson Mask, blood. And one of the most brutal moves was when Drew McIntyre was wanting to do the Claymore, and then his back just hit the edge of the steel steps. But it was an amazing match overall. Easily the best match. One of the greatest Hell in the Cell matches of all time. Might be a hot take, but one of the greatest Hell in a Cell matches of all time, in my opinion. And now, moving on. Pay per view of the year. What is your pay per view of the year?
Uh, WrestleMania 40.
Mhm.
Aside from actually the thing with Triple H when he was saying it was 80% done by January or whatever, then with The Rock coming back and them having to adjust all of that, like both of the main events were really good. The women's matches were pretty fun. Aside from Jay and Jimmy, which was one of the worst matches I've ever seen, WrestleMania on both nights was really fun to watch. And
Mhm.
it's like, it's the biggest show of the year, so it should feel like this. So I was glad that that's how it was.
I think this was the greatest one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. But I'm going to have to say SummerSlam by this tiny inch. And the reason is because I started watching WWE at the start of 2024. So although I got all the feuds, I feel like I was more connected to the feuds with SummerSlam in my opinion. Because SummerSlam was I think was big years, big. So four title changes, some of the best matches I've seen in a while. LA Knight versus Logan Paul blew the roof off the place. Drew Mac, no, not Drew Mac. Drew McIntyre CM Punk was an amazing match too. And the best match of the night is Gunther versus Damian Priest was so good and it cooked. I mean, the main event was kind of ass. I mean, until Roman Reigns showed up. But yeah, I'm gonna say SummerSlam. And next, we're gonna move on to surprise of the year. What is your surprise of the year?
Surprise of the year, Jay Uso beating Braun Breaker for the IC title, because I wasn't expecting Braun Breaker to lose it as the short time that he had. Now he did end up getting it back, but it's even more surprising that it's like Jay Uso super over with the crowd, putting on good matches. But it's like Triple H just it's something that he doesn't see that most of the fans see. Like I'm a big Jay Uso fan,
Mhm.
but it's just something that Triple H doesn't see in him to give him an actual lengthy title reign. So I feel like it was kind of pointless to make it for him to even do it. But that was definitely the surprise of the year, Jay Uso winning that IC belt.
I'm gonna say my surprise of the year, and I know this is gonna be a very uncommon one, but Bronson Reed coming out of nowhere and giving six tsunamis to Seth Rollins. That was like insane. Like all the other surprises, aside from the Jey Uso one, like the betrayals at SummerSlam, I did not expect this to happen. I did not expect this, and it was so massive and huge, and sent Bronson Reed to the top, and I love it overall. I love it. So that's why I'm gonna say it's my surprise of the year.
Yeah, that's fair. Another
And
one I thought of was Naomi coming back in the Royal Rumble.
oh
'Cause I thought
yeah,
she was going to be in TNA a little longer. So that was a
yeah,
surprise.
yeah. That was a big surprise. I mean, there wasn't too many surprises in the Royal Rumble, but that was definitely a good surprise.
And that was the start. She entered with her friend Bailey. They were 1 and 2. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing one. And we got two more left, and this one is Return of the Year. What is the Return of the Year for you?
Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, a save. One of the that Cody and Solo match wasn't really enjoyable because
Yeah,
their styles don't really fit together. But Roman returning, like it meant so much to the story of the bloodline and even Cody for a stint of it. Like him after we hadn't seen him since WrestleMania. After he lost in Solo, he had been taken over. He kicked Jimmy out the bloodline. He took out the Wise Man. Then Roman he came back, sent the message to Solo, keeping the belt away from the family and allowing Cody Rhodes to win. Then teaming up with Cody and then a War Games match. And now we're finally getting Roman and Solo on Raw on Netflix.
yeah, you said it beautifully. I was gonna say the same thing. Roman Reigns. This is the biggest return in so long, because SmackDown at the time was in the trenches. It was in the trenches, and then when Roman Reigns showed up, boom! It just made the whole main event perfect. Even though it's kind of obvious Roman Reigns was gonna return, it still was just mwah, icing on the cake. And I love the return of Roman Reigns, the OTC.
Yep.
TC, man. The next one, the final one, is the best segment of the year.
March 15th, SmackDown, The Rock concert. When The
Ooh,
Rock
that's a
came
good one.
back and did the concert, and I have some of the quotes that The Rock said,
We
and
got
one of them
those.
he was talking to Cody. Drugs and cheap condoms was a bad combination. That's one of the funniest things. Like The Rock is one of the funniest characters ever, and just shout out to The Rock because a lot of people doubted him, because like he's still a wrestler at the end of the day. Like he's gonna get in the gym and train, and that's what
Mhm.
he did. And he was able to put on a great WrestleMania match, and it was yeah, that was one of the best compliments. Then the thing with Mama Rose and getting the Cody's blood on that belt, that was amazing.
Well, that was like one of the most funniest segments of the entire year. I loved that. Also, I loved it when he called everyone in the crowd meth heads. But I'm gonna have to go as my favorite one, which isn't as funny, but it's gonna be the New Day breakup. I think it's one of the greatest heel turns of all time.
Yeah, I
And
definitely considered that. Your neck's broken, so what? That's
yeah, yeah, that shocked me. That hurt my soul, man. But anyways, that is it for the video. That is our WWE awards for 2024. Make sure to like, share, and also follow his channel. The link is gonna be wait, his link is gonna be in the subscription down below. Make sure to follow him, subscribe to him, watch all his videos. An amazing YouTuber. Thank you so much for being my first ever collab. Thank you so
yes,
much.
sir. No problem.
Yeah, everyone,
Peace
make sure to
out.
subscribe. That is it for us. Weller Wrestling is out.